Hey guys, it's Shay. Welcome to my channel, Shades of Injustice, where we talk all things social justice, including but not limited to relationships, domestic violence, sexual assault, BLM, racism, and so much more. Today, we're actually going to talk about Social Work Month. March is the month where we celebrate social workers and the contributions they make to the society. And as I've told you before in a previous video, I am a social worker. I'm a licensed social worker. I graduated school in May of last year. And I currently work at a shelter, women and children's shelter. So I get to help women who are experiencing homelessness, recidivism and homelessness, DV, which brought them into shelter, toxic relationships in their family environments, which brought them into shelter, and work with them on these situations and on these areas in their life once they get out into permanent housing to prevent them from coming back into shelter. So that's what I do currently. There's about 62,000 social workers in the nation. So big ups to the social workers. We do a lot. We have jobs between schools, in courtroom, in shelters, in the jail system. We are all over the place. Sometimes social workers will get their degree and go into HR or go into politics, which I believe we need a lot more social workers in politics than we need politicians in politics. Because sometimes one thing about social workers, we are very compassionate, or we try to understand, or we study to understand, and we speak with our clients to understand their plight. And I really believe that having social workers in politics will really help change the state of everything. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, research it. Every year in March, there's a theme for Social Work Month. This year, it's leaders, advocates, and champions. So if you are a social worker or you know somebody in a social worker, how do you feel like they are a leader or advocate or a champion? Because as social workers, we are our clients' advocates. And that's what I remind my clients all the time, is that I'm your biggest advocate. I'm here for you. I work for you. So I want to tell a little bit about why I became a social worker. I actually got my undergrad in journalism. I tried to get a job in my field for a few years, had interviews, could never get it, and then I was like, you know what, maybe I just need to go back to school. So at the time I was living in North Carolina, and I decided to move to Maryland to get my master's in journalism from University of Maryland. I started working on them, it's just essay, and I actually sent it to one of my professors at UNCG, and he was like, you know, you need to show your compassion your compassion and your thrive to want to go to journalism school for your master's. So at the time I was applying to UNBD, I applied to NYU, and I was applying to Columbia and all this kind of stuff. So he's like, you're applying to all these high-end schools, why do you love journalism? And I began to think, and I was like, I don't even know why I love journalism anymore. Like, I don't know why I originally wanted to become a journalist. So at that point, I decided to start volunteering. So I started volunteering at the YWCA in Maryland, and I worked with domestic violence survivors at the Y, and it was amazing. Like, I absolutely loved it. It was so touching being with these women and seeing hearing their stories. Well, sometimes they share stories, sometimes they didn't. And just seeing how strong these women are, that they were able to get out and they are bettering their lives for themselves and their children. So I was like, you know what? I think this is what I want to do. So I started doing some research, and I was actually looking into human services. And I know with human services, you can get an associate. And I was like, well, I already have my bachelor's. And I was like really trying to figure out, do I really want to go get my master's? Like, I really don't know. And then when I was looking at getting my associate, I was like, well, why would I go and get my associate when I have my bachelor's? So let me at least look into a master's. So I did more research, and I stumbled across social work. And I was like, okay, I think I could get this. I decided to leave Maryland and move back to New York. But this time I moved to the city. And because I've always wanted to go to NYU. Like, that was has been a lifelong dream of mine. So I've always wanted to go to NYU. So I was like, well, let me go move to New York and work. I had to stay there for a year to become a resident so I can get in-state tuition. That way I'm not moving in and then paying out of state, which, if anybody knows about NYU, excuse me, is expensive already. So trying to pay out of state, like, that's just like, oof. So I did that. I transferred my job up to New York. I worked. I actually started volunteering at a hospital here locally, and I work with domestic violence and sexual assault survivors in the ER, which even volunteering there, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is exactly what I want to do. So I applied to NYU. I got in. Yay! I did my 2 years and I graduated, and now I work in a shelter, and I absolutely love it. There's definitely moments when it's really hard, or you're dealing with clients who have been through so much, and sometimes it seems like they really don't care, but I know that they do. And sometimes it's just like they feel like, why should I keep pressing on? And that's what I'm there for, is to keep reminding them of why they're pressing on. And say that just because you went through these situations in the past, it does not define you. And you can always change your story. You are constantly writing your story. So it's up to you now, even though you're in shelter right now, it's up to you now to change your story, rewrite your story to make it better. Let that be your testimony. Let that be where you came from, and be able to impart that to others. You never know what God will have for you. But yeah, so this is basically why I became a social worker. If you know anybody who's a social worker, make sure you give them props this month, as our jobs can entail a lot. All right, thank you for joining me for another episode as we're taking the shade off of injustices. See you next time.